Welcome back to The Count. We're counting down the major stories of the week. I'm Lydia Serrani. Now to story number 4 on our countdown. Leftist hate. Party of violence. Democrats, strike again. 31-year-old Chicago man Elias Rodriguez right there. He's now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for executing 2 Israeli embassy staffers outside of the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. this week. The suspect leaving no doubt of his motive. Here's what he said moments after the police took him into custody.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
The 2 victims, 30-year-old Yaron Lashinsky and 26-year-old Sarah Milgram, the young couple about to be engaged. Yaron, a devout Christian, had just bought a ring and was planning to propose to her in Jerusalem. Joining us now to discuss this tragedy and more, foreign policy expert Harley Lippman and Newsmax foreign policy analyst and former foreign policy advisor to President Trump, Dr. Waleed Phares. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us. Harley, the hate from the left, it's so out of control. Do you think it's directly correlated to what we've seen on the streets with the pro-Hamas protests?
Not at all. I think this is anti-Semitism, plain and simple. This has nothing to do with Gaza. It has nothing to do with land. It's purely about hatred of Jews and hatred of America. It starts with the Jews. It never ends with the Jews. The Jews are the canary in the coal mine. So these people want to destroy America. This is about intifada worldwide. Even on October 8th, the day after October 7th, before Israel did anything to Gaza or to any Palestinians, after Hamas slaughtered, tortured, and raped and murdered innocent Israelis and Jews, students were demonstrating, supporting Hamas, saying free Palestine, which is code for the elimination of Jews in Israel.
It really is. And then Waleed, Bibi, he said that free Palestine is the new Heil Hitler. What do you think about that?
It is, in the sense that this is an ideology, anti-Semitism. There is the old anti-Semitism of the Middle Ages. There is the middle anti-Semitism, the Nazis, and now there is the new anti-Semitism, which is neo-jihadism, because it is based on 2 slogans, death to America and death to Israel, death to the greater Satan and the smaller Satan. So it is basically based on an ideology that wants the destruction of the state of Israel, the elimination of the Jews, and the destruction of the United States as well. And one individual traveling from Chicago to DC or from Florida to Illinois, these are not cases by themselves. These are cases, satellite cases of a much larger picture that we have been seeing since October 7, at least. Of course, before, but since October 7 here on U.S. soil, with tens of thousands of individuals who are chanting the same slogan. It's not just an individual case. It's a national threat.
You know, Harley, now turning to the situation at Harvard University this week, the Department of Homeland Security blocked Harvard's ability to enroll international students. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem posting on X, quote, "This administration is holding Harvard accountable for fostering violence, anti-Semitism, coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party on its campus." And then a judge blocked Trump's order, temporarily blocking it. Your thoughts, Harley?
Yeah, it is backed by China. They're the ones supporting the student struggle for Palestine. And what people have to realize, that studying here is not a right. These are foreign students, after all. It's a privilege to study in the United States. And if you're going to study here and you're going to promote hatred, anti-Semitism, and violence, and then you have no place here, just reverse it. If I was a foreign student in Qatar, and I would demonstrate against the government or promote terrorism, they'd kick me out in 2 seconds. So people don't realize that people who study here really enjoy an enormous privilege in the United States. And I'm not saying this in an old-fashioned sense, but they should be mindful of that, be respectful and be grateful, and just be here and study, which is what they're here supposedly for. They come here and disrupt classes, and take over buildings like at Columbia, then the universities need to act on it. And if they don't, the U.S. government is stepping in the rightful way of stopping it because the universities are not doing their job.
Waleed, your thoughts on this, on the president's move. Do you think he'll be successful in stopping foreign students from enrolling in Harvard and trying to combat this anti-Semitism that we're seeing proliferate, not only at these Ivy League schools, but all across the nation? A lot of this indoctrinating of our young people. That's what's really happening, a lot of brainwashing.
Absolutely. I wrote a whole book about it, The War of Ideas, Jihadism Against Democracy. It's academically has been researched. I taught 25 years on U.S. campuses from sea to shining sea. This is all organized. This is a movement. It's not an individual who's traveling from Syria who find themselves dispossessed one day, wake up and become a jihadist. There is a whole network that prepares from overseas. And we saw that even under the Bush administration at the time. And then organized on campus, on U.S. soil, funded by outside sources. We could discuss it maybe at another time, but this is like an organization that is recruiting. The individuals who are attending the classroom, basically, are conditioned. It's like the National Socialist conditionment of education in Germany. We have a fundamental problem in not just in the universities and colleges, but in that system that uses the classroom to send them to the streets, to send them to the newsroom, to send them to the war room. We have a real jihadi problem inside the United States.
We certainly do. I mean, here in New York City, Harley, there's a mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani. He's doubling down on BDS. He also won't say Israel has a right to exist. This guy is doing very well in the polls. He's getting millions and millions of dollars in donations, and he could potentially be the mayor of the largest city in the United States.
This is very frightening. It really is. He also wouldn't sign a statement acknowledging the Holocaust. Think of that. I mean, it's extraordinary. And it brings up, where is this anti-Semitism coming from? People are saying that there's genocide in Gaza. They're criticizing Israel for not allowing humanitarian aid in. Well, guess what happens? When you allow the humanitarian aid in, Hamas steals it, uses it to give to their own fighters, then gouges the Palestinians by overcharging. They shouldn't charge the Palestinians anything since they didn't pay for this food. And this is how they fund their terrorist activities. And this prolongs the war. So instead of countries like France, England, and Canada standing up against Hamas, saying, you cannot do this, they stand up against Israel and they blame Israel. So it really shows the double standards that exist here. And it really speaks to an ever-growing anti-Semitism that, fortunately, President Trump is addressing head on.
Like you said, it never ends with the Jews. Harley, Dr. Ferris, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.